I'm sat on the floor today because I could not be able to sort out a tripod and everything, so we're sat on the floor balanced on a Lima crate box. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jess, and today's video is going to be a Defeat the TBR update. This is for the month of July. Quite a few things to catch you up on. I have been filming some reading vlogs here and there, and I will be releasing videos every Wednesday and Sunday for the next month. Let's jump right on in. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to haul some books, because I did not realise how many books I hauled throughout this past month. First book that I picked up was Cross the Line by Simone Sultani, and this one I got from the works. I really loved the sprayed edges, and I've been wanting to read an F1 romance for the longest time. And I also picked up Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher. This one is going to be, I believe, a single dad romance, and I believe it's also going to be a nanny romance between Raphael and Ellie. I really loved what we saw of Raphael and Ellie in the first book in this series by her. This is the Lakefront Billionaire series, which is her newest series that she's currently releasing, and I believe it's only going to be 3 books, the same as the Dreamland Billionaires series was. I also purchased Switched and Saddled by Lila Sage this month. I absolutely adored the first in the Blue Rebel Ranch series by her, which was done and dusted, so I just had to pick this up when I saw it in the works. It was £3.50. It was either £3 or £3.50, but I really love her writing. I had Reckless by Lauren Roberts on pre-order on Amazon, so this came when release day came out, and I of course am very excited, and was very excited when this came to my door, because I adore this series and I cannot wait to finish it out, because I am obsessed with the characters in here. I have so many feelings for these characters. I picked up When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I actually got this from Sainsbury's in the UK. It was, I think, £11, which I think is so unbelievably good for a hardback. Like, full price, this is £20. And I was very close to buying this in Waterstone, so I was kind of happy that I waited. It wasn't like an intentional wait. It was just like, I was like, oh, you know, I shouldn't really buy a book right now. So I ended up getting it in Sainsbury's, and this hardcover, guys, literally so pretty. It says broken things make the sharpest weapons, and I'm very much excited for this. This spine also reminds me of Fourth Wing, because they do have the dragons in the middle. But yeah, I'm very excited. I have seen a lot of people are raving about this at the moment, but I don't actually know anything, to be honest with you, about it. But I am very excited to get around to reading this one. Then when I went book shopping with my close friend, we went to Waterstones, and I ended up picking up Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the second in the Good Girls Guide to Murder series by her. I have the special edition of the first book, and this is the special edition, collector's edition of the second book. I am very excited to get round to this book, and again, these editions are just absolutely stunning. Then here's like a rogue one. I've not seen anyone really talk about this, but I read the synopsis and it did sound like something that I would enjoy, and that is A Broken Blade by Melissa Blair. Honestly, the part of this that caught my eye was that at the top, the quote, I believe, from the book is, "My body is made of scars. Some were done to me, but most I did to myself." Sorry, I've just like opened it and read the first sentence in chapter 1, which is, "I had 17 blades concealed along my person, each one more than capable of killing the man in front of me." This is going to be a bit of me, for sure. I love a strong, independent woman. I love someone who knows how to use a blade, who has fighting practice. I don't know what it is, but I'm definitely going to love this. So those are 2 books I got from Waterstones, and then when we were in the works, I actually didn't see anything I liked. We were in a different works, like the one that I normally go to. And I saw The Rule Book by Sarah Adams for £3, and I ended up picking this up because I absolutely adore the other 2 books that I read by Sarah Adams, which is When in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect. And then I believe once I read this, I only have the cheat sheet that I haven't read by her. Then I went on a little day trip out with my partner, and we were in a works, obviously, because, you know, I see someone that sells books and I can't help myself, and I ended up picking up these 2 books. I'm actually really excited for these 2. I at first was a bit disappointed about the main character that these follow, because I want to read a book specifically from a side character in this series, and I don't currently own the first 2 books in this series. However, I will be picking them up probably this month, but I have already read them, and I read them on Kindle Unlimited when they were on 99p offer, and that is Saving 6 and Redeeming 6 by Chloe Walsh. Now, I am someone who was skeptical on the latter side, slash already a hater about reading this series, because I was just so unsure that it was going to be something for me, but I absolutely adored adored the first two books and I flew through them. I have actually purchased another book, but I'm not going to show it in this wrap up because I will probably show it to you guys in next month's wrap up, just for like reasons to do with I've got 2 copies of the book because I'm gifting it and I don't want them to see this and then be spoiled for their gift. And the final book that I purchased this month was Gleam by Raven Kennedy. This is the 3rd book in the Plated Prisoner series by her. That felt like a lot of hauled books. Let's count: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So overall I purchased 11 books this past month, which honestly is more than I was planning to buy in this month. And to make things better, I have also done an unhaul. This is the stack of unhauled books plus one. So first things first, we've got Anne of Green Gables and Anne of Avonlea by L.M. Govery. I'm also unhauling The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, unhauling Peter Pan and Peter Pan in Kensington Gardens by J.M. Barrie. And finally, the one that hurts the most is The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L.F. Barnes. From Luke Off with Love by Marion Zapata. I'm also going to be getting rid of The Christmas Murder Game by Alexandra Benedict. I'm also unhauling Shadow of Night by Deborah Harkness. This is because I've heard people not really enjoy this and I've tried to read this multiple times and have not managed to get through to it. I'm unhauling is The Silkworm by Robert Galbraith. This is the 2nd book in this series. So these are the books I'm unhauling. We're unhauling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 books off of my physical TBR. And moving on to the books I have read this month, I have had a phenomenal reading month, minus 1 book, but I've had a really good reading month other than that. First book that I read is Of Jade and Dragons by Amber Shen. This was my June Illumicrate book. Now I've made a promise to myself that I will read the Illumicrate books that come each month. They come at the end of each month so that they'll be read the following month. Oh my goodness, I have a vlog where I was reading this and I'm so surprised that I loved this book. From the synopsis, although it was intriguing to me, it wasn't my kind of favourite. It wasn't something that I would have purchased. If I was going to purchase it, I would have waited for it to come out in paperback. However, I loved so many elements of this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars and I ended up loving multiple elements in this book. The one element that I didn't like, which is going to come as such a surprise to you because it was such a surprise to me, was the romance. I just didn't feel the chemistry between the 2 characters and I didn't understand why they had this like weird romance thing going on. Most people will probably feel frustrated by this ending, but I have a close friend who loves an ending like this and I definitely think she should read this based on this ending alone. But the things that really captured me in here were all of the parts about the guild and all of the talks about the aircrafts and the cannons, and it was just a very intriguing. And honestly, I really enjoyed everything to do with the Engineers Guild and I thought it was very well worked out. It was well plotted and I don't know, my favourite element was everything to do with the mechanics. It was of a slower pace than what I normally go for and it was lower stakes than a fantasy that I would, again, normally sway towards. Not that that means that it's bad, it just wasn't as high stakes as some of the other fantasy books I absolutely adore. I feel like for me, if I felt the chemistry between the 2 characters, I would maybe have enjoyed this even more. But because I didn't, it kind of was just, you know, because it felt very kind of almost insta-lovey in the way that they loved each other but they barely talked. They talked maybe 1-to-1 in like a handful of situations. This is a prime example of what Illumicrate can do for me as a reader. I get in a slump where I read the same books over and over with similar tropes because I know I like it, but I get bored, and this was just such a breath of fresh air and I personally loved it. And I would, again, never have chosen this for myself, so I found something that, you know, is one of my favorites from this year just because of its uniqueness, and I would have never have read it if I had not had Illumicrate. Then I read Reckless by Lauren Roberts and I gave this one 4 stars. I'm gonna say 4 stars. I think it was either 4 or 4.5. This is technically it's the 2nd book in the Powerless trilogy, however it is kind of the 3rd book because you have the novella in between. However, I read this as soon as it got to me from release day. I just love our main characters, Pei and Kai, and I have so much time and space for them in my brain. I think about these characters all the time. However, we also get Kit's perspective in this book, right? And I was so bored, but I was also so pissed off at him and his perspective. I think if you have a connection to these characters, you would really like it. And I've seen other people say that this is like middle book syndrome, where not a lot happens and it's a bit cyclical in structure, and I would agree that this is a bit repetitive and it did get a bit frustrating at one point. However, I kind of really enjoyed it. I just still really enjoyed it because I love the characters and I would do anything to see these characters. The next book that I read, that I kind of gave away earlier, is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I loved this. I gave it 4.5 stars. This I just flew through. I loved it. I actually did get scared at one point reading this, but this was really good. I really want to watch the TV show. I felt like the plots were really well put together. I also felt that even though it came as like, it was almost like a disappointed surprise about who did it at the end, it was also very clear and obvious where those little bits of information have added up and built up to be that person, which I did really, really appreciate. Then I read A Dawn of Onyx, or Onks, by Kate Golden. This is the first in the Sacred Stones trilogy, I believe it is. Right, now I really enjoyed this book. It was such a quick read. Look how floppy this paperback is. I adore it. Such a quick read. However, I think I gave it 3.5 stars, and that's because it was just very predictable, and I did feel so much chemistry between our main female character and the love interest in here. However, it was very predictable. I like guessed all of the surprises, and then I think because I guessed the surprises, I was frustrated at our main female character's response to it, if that makes any sense. I will definitely be continuing this series because I'm intrigued, and I do think that the series can get better and better and better as it goes on. Just for me, this was predictable in kind of like the worst ways, but I did love the characters, and because of that, that's why I want to continue reading it. Then I read, or should I say try to read, The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith. Now, I would like to preface this by saying that I do not support J.K. Rowling as a person, and I did not know that this is that Robert Galbraith is her pen name. I did not enjoy the writing style of The Cuckoo's Calling. I was so bored. This dragged on and on and on, and I hated the male main character. I just really disliked him. I thought he was really lousy as a person. He wasn't very likable or engaging, and I just felt like this was just boring. And to be honest, I feel like I just didn't really care for anything. Like, I didn't find anything interesting about the lives that they lived, and you know, I don't know, I just didn't find any interest in this, and yeah, I just know. I think I gave it 1.5 stars, but from reading this, that's how come I was able to unhaul The Silkworm, because I just know I have no interest in picking up this one after reading this one. I'm so bored. The writing style is just not for me. If you'd like to see my full thoughts and feelings on this book, it is in a reading vlog that will be coming out soon. But yeah, I'm gonna be unhauling both of these. So this book, now that I've talked about it, is getting unhauled alongside this one, and I hope that someone who will absolutely adore this will find this and love the series, but it's just not me. Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. Oh my goodness, I love this. I love the way she writes male characters. They are so respectable, they're so acknowledgeable, they are so like, not confident, I guess confident's the wrong word. I think it's more self-aware and cautious and understanding and just caring, and I really love the male characters in this series, and that's what keeps me going back to her a lot of the time. And this is such an easy read as well. They're so short, they're so easy to read, but they're also so good. And I also like how her third act conflicts, they're not like a massive blow up and then, oh my goodness, I've forgiven in 2 pages. They're not like that. They are third act conflicts, but they're always kind of like understand or preempted, which I think is really interesting, and I kind of like that belief in the main characters, and I just loved it. I really loved West. I really liked Ada. I just love this series in general, and I cannot wait for the last book to come out. I think it's the last one, but I could be wrong. Lost and Lassoed, which I believe follows Teddy, and I believe she's probably going to get with the last of the brothers on the Blueberry Ranch. Anyway, yeah, I love this. I give it 4.5 stars, and I absolutely adore these covers. They're so like a vintage movie style. Now, the next 3 books I'm going to kind of talk about all together, but I ended up picking up the Plated Prisoners series by Raven Kennedy, and I read these back to back. So I read Guild, Glint and Gleam, and I read these all three back to back, and this is where my last week of the month has been with these books, and I am absolutely adoring this. It was a bit predictable in the first book, and I have predicted, I guess, some of those major plots. Not one of them I didn't predict, but the other ones I did. But again, this series has very much so much potential to kind of improve as it goes along, and that's how I felt. And although I gave Guild 3 stars, Glint was 4 stars, and I really loved it. And Gleam is definitely going to be like a 4.5 stars. So this series just feels like it's getting better and better and better as it goes along. Full disclosure, I haven't actually finished Gleam completely. I'm on page 465 currently, but I will be finishing it today, and I wanted to film this earlier on in the day because the lighting is better. The female main character has progressed so much, and she has developed so much as a character. The character development that she has been through is ginormous. One thing I would like to say is please read the trigger warnings, because there is definitely some triggering some content that could be triggering for some readers, so make sure you read that before you go into the series. But I am absolutely adoring it. It's really great, and again, I've read it back to back to back, and it's very rare that I read series, like books in a series, back to back. So this really speaks volumes about how much I am enjoying this series at the moment. And to be honest with you, I will probably be purchasing or reading Glow at some point soon too, which is the 4th book in the series, because I am really enjoying this, and I kind of want to keep reading it until I kind of get sick of it, you know, because right now I'm again thoroughly enjoying it, and I keep picking it up, and I'm really like loving it, and I'm thinking about these characters constantly, and as part of that I just want to keep reading the series, so I will probably keep reading the series. So the final TBR count for the end of July is 40 books. But you know what, I'm not angry about that. The one thing that's disappointing is I know I was down to like 36 books at one point, but because I did a massive book haul, you know, kind of adds up. But yeah, we're on 40 books. Hopefully by the end of August I can read about like 12 to 15 books, and we'll be really down there now in what we have left. That's everything for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Let's see more news from me, and I'll catch you guys all in my next one. Bye.